Give me a few minutes and I'll make you better than 90% of athletes. And no, this has nothing to do with practicing or training harder at all. And honestly, most athletes are already practicing as hard as they can, but they still end up making the same mistakes, the same decisions, which ultimately leads them to playing worse than they know they can. And it's not because it's a lack of talent, it's because they neglect two things that most athletes overlook. And these two things are what separates the elite from the average. And in today's video, I'm going to walk you through what these two things are, and more importantly, how it's going to make you better than 90% of athletes, okay? And I'm Calvin, by the way, and I help high-level athletes with the mental side of the game so they can play essentially how they know they can, all right? Essentially, I help you unlock your potential, all right? So the first things first, you have to train your mind like you train your body. Like, it doesn't matter how much work you put in on the court, at the gym, whatever. If you're mentally weak, you are going to play weak, essentially. Because your body will always follow your mind. You can have the most talent, be the most gifted in your sport, but if your mind is unstable, that's how you're going to feel and play during the game, unstable. It's essentially like trying to build a skyscraper on top of a weak foundation. It's going to fall, it's going to crumble. Okay? So, practically, what this looks like is you train all throughout practice, you train really hard throughout the week, you watch film, then you come into the game and you're anxious, you're overthinking, then you end up playing like ass. So, as much time and energy as you're putting into your hard skills, like running, catching the ball, dribbling, is as much time as you should be putting into your mind. Because, like I said, your body will always follow your mind. It doesn't matter how much work you put in if your mind is weak, because then you're going to play like ass. All right. And what this essentially looks like practically is, I guess, journaling, meditating, visualizing, just things like that. Because you have to understand yourself. Really, you have to understand why you think the way you think, why you feel the way you feel, because it's dictating how you play. How are you going to change yourself if you don't know yourself? You can't change what you're not aware of. Okay. And essentially, you have to have the utmost belief in yourself, and more so in your, I guess, talent, I should say, because your belief is what activates that talent. You get what I'm saying? If, for example, the player with half the amount of belief but twice the amount of talent will always lose to the player with twice the amount of belief and half the amount of talent. I will bet my firstborn son on the line. Well, I don't have a son, my future firstborn son on the line on that bet every single time. Okay? And I've seen it time and time and over again. Like, just less talented athletes beating the more talented ones. Like, there's not, I love an underdog story, and we've all seen it throughout all of sports. Okay? It's because they don't train their mind. All right, and this is essentially what this whole channel is all about, is essentially training your mind like how you train your body. All right, so just go watch all these videos. And I guess a great example I can give you just like recently is Bryce Young. He's the quarterback for the Panthers. He's extremely talented. I don't care what nobody says. He's played against the best of the best his whole life. Played at Bama, won the Heisman, was the first round pick in the draft. Like, he has it. He got it. Like, he may be undersized, but he has the all the quarterback talent that you could have besides the height. Right? So it was never a question of his talent. It was really just a question of his size. And once he got to the NFL, he just had this mental block where he couldn't play how he was playing before. Because before, he was dominating. He dominated basically every season of his career, from high school to college, everything. He dominated. But now, like, in NFL, he's playing like a bottom 32 quarterback, play like ass, right? But recently, he started to have like a little surge. Like, he started to work on his mental game a little bit. He dropped 450 yards the other day, or not the other day, the other week, and then he just gave belt to ass to the Rams like last week. And nobody was expecting him to do that. Right? So it's there. His talent is there. He can be in the NFL. He's a great quarterback, right? But it's just, can he do that consistently? And that has everything to do with his mental. So that's the first thing that athletes neglect. It's not training their mind like how they train their body. Okay? Because if you don't believe in yourself, how do you expect everybody else to believe in you? Now, the second thing that most athletes neglect, or I guess don't do, is learning to detach from the game. Like, more specifically, detaching from the stats, detaching from the accolades, detaching from all the achievements. And I'm not saying you don't care about these things, or you shouldn't care about these things. You should, but you don't want to become attached to them. Like, it shouldn't make or break you as an athlete. Like, for example, oh, if I don't drop 30 points tonight, I'm a bad person. If I don't win the championship, then I'm a shitty athlete. You shouldn't think like that. You shouldn't attach yourself to those things. You should learn to be good with it and be good without it. And ironically, honestly, the more you're attached to something, the more you try to chase something, the more it runs away from you. Like, for example, like when you're in dating, like the more you try to chase that specific person that you like, the more you're just chasing them away from you, right? But once you learn to detach or mess like or when it comes to other people, it's like, oh, I don't really care if they like me or not. They like you the most. It makes no sense, right? But it's the same thing with sports. You have to learn to detach because let me give you this perspective. You don't necessarily want these stats or want these accolades or this achievement. You just want how it makes you feel. Because if it didn't make you feel like that, you wouldn't want it. For example, if that championship didn't make you feel prideful, it didn't make you feel validated, it didn't make you feel good, you wouldn't want it. Or outside of sports, if if that person or that your crush or whatever didn't make you feel loved and validated, you wouldn't want them. If that car didn't make you feel prideful and make you feel cool, you wouldn't want it. Right? So you have to understand this. You don't want the stats, you just want the feeling. Okay? And once you come to this realization, that's when the learning to detach becomes so much easier. Okay? So essentially, practically what this looks like in the game is you're essentially just like in a flow state. Like you're just in the game, like you don't care if you drop 30 and you drop 5 home runs. It doesn't matter to you because you don't care. And essentially, when you don't care, that's when you do it because you're not overthinking every decision. You're not overthinking your mistakes. It's just like whatever. You're just nonchalant about it, right? It's so ass backwards, and it's kind of annoying. Like when you don't care, that's when you get it. But when you care the most, that's when you don't get it. Does that make sense? I give you another example. Let's take Nikola Jokic. He's the I think he's the center. He's the center for the Nuggets. He's probably like the most detached athlete I've ever seen. And yet he's like one of the best in the sport. Like he doesn't really care at all. He dead ass treats the NBA like a 9 to 5. Dead ass. Like he doesn't want to do no press conferences. He doesn't like people, nobody talking to him. When he's on the court, like he just doesn't look, it just looks like he don't want to be there. Yeah, like that. Like if you guys watch basketball, you guys know what I'm talking about. All he cares about is just being with his horses in Europe somewhere. That gives him more joy. Like it's so funny. All right. And him being so detached makes him is what makes him really good or makes him the best at the same time. Because he doesn't care if he wins the MVP and the championship like he has. Like when he won the MVP and won the finals, he didn't care. Like it just looks like it was like just a piece of glass to him. It just didn't matter. And just doing these two things alone is going to make you better than a majority, 90% of athletes. Just due to the fact that most athletes are so attached and most athletes are so focused on hard skills. But they don't understand the fact that being so attached and them not working on their mental is making them play worse. Right? Which is why most athletes always end up being average. Now, I'm not saying if you do these two things that you're going to be LeBron, all right, or you're going to be this world-class athlete, right? But it's essentially going to help you reach your full potential, whatever that is for you, or if you're watching this, okay? And essentially, what these two things are going to do is essentially release all that talent, all that hard work that you've been putting in, and just let it flow. Like once you do these two things into and you let it, oh my God, I can't talk. Once you do these two things and you put it into practice, once you come into the game, you're just gonna feel like you're in a flow state, right? It's like a bunch of like water behind the dam. And then you doing these two things is like releasing the dam and breaking the dam down so all that water could flow. All your talent and all the hard work you put in can flourish, right? Now you're out of your own way because before your mind was essentially in the way, being so attached, like, oh, I gotta win this game, or I have to drop 30 points tonight, or my girlfriend's not gonna love me, or it's just some shit like that, right? But you have to train your mind. You have to train your mind. You have to train your mind, okay? Or you are not gonna be at the level that essentially you will not be reaching your peak level, right? All the most gifted athletes have the utmost conviction and the utmost confidence in themselves to play how they know they could play. Essentially, these are the best athletes. You need both. If you want to be a professional, if you want to be the best player on your team, on your sport, whatever, you have to be the best at both of these things, your mind and your body. These have to be in sync. When it's misaligned, it's what it looks like when you're probably watching this. It's overthinking, it's hesitating, playing like ass. All right? And like I said, if you do these two things, you're going to be better than 90% of your competition. All right? And if you're struggling with detaching or working on your mind or whatever, like I said, that's what this whole channel is about. And more specifically, if you want to learn how to detach, I'll leave the video in the description. And if you're a high-level athlete interested in working with me one-on-one personally and getting your mind out the way, then I'll leave the link in the description. All right? And I'll see you guys in the next video.